Hi, it's Erica and welcome to another Demo Plus. And today I thought it would be a nice idea to actually have a visual reference to the bokeh technique. I've done it a few times in demo, live demo, but I thought it'd be really nice if you could have a full record of how it looks. So here's a couple of examples that I have done with this technique, and now I'm just going to show you how it gets started. We start out with a sheet of card, but I've given it a coat of Clear Gesso. This one is a Prima Art Basics gesso, but it just gives a nice surface to the card and it makes the gelatos work better. So for this one I'm thinking of using the snow scene stamp, so I need to use some blues. So I'm going to use these two blues, and that is, let me find the name if I can read it, boysenberry, and this one's called Snow Cone. Very handy. So if you can see, not only does the gesso cause a barrier on the card, but it also has a great key, and what that means is it makes it much easier then to scribble your colours on. So just keep filling it all in. I'm not using the whole card because I will be cutting it down, but it just gives me scope to find the best bit. So then, just with my finger, I'm going to smudge it all around. And then if I need some more, I can add some more to it. I find the light blue really smudges easier. The dark blue is not so easy, so you might need more of that. Oops, try not to bend the card. So I might add a little touch more. Just so we've got a nice thick layer. Okay, so you can see it's quite shiny because the gelatos are quite waxy, but they are water reactive. So now I need to put one of my stencils down. I've got a variety of different stencils, all with dots for the removing the colour, but I like this one because it's more random. So I just need to get myself a wet wipe. So we've got wet wipe and a piece of tissue, and then literally you're taking some of it off. The first ones I'm not going to take quite so much off, so we'll leave that as that. We don't want to take too much off because we'll take the second one, we'll take more off. Oh goodness, they don't want to stay still today. You can see you're just taking a little bit off. This is the base layer, so making sure this time I hold it in place. There we go, that's better. And just go randomly over the page. And then some will start to overlap. You can use your fingers on this, but you will get more come away. If you can see that there, how reactive it is. And that's because the gesso is underneath, causing that barrier. So this one I can take a little bit more off. So I can just wipe it. If I just keep the wet wipe and just wipe it all away, you can see you lose a lot more. But it's just a case of building it up, taking less taking more and just building up the design. Keep going with this one. Let's not take so much on that one. And again here, again not so much. And then you can see you're starting to build the design up. Now I've also got some, if I can find them, I've punched these out of a piece of card with a hole punch, and so I've got different now separate ones, but because when you hole punch you have to punch close to the edge of the card, all I've done is I've made up the extra with a piece of duct tape, so I've got a little bit more room. So when because if I put a wet wipe and it was on the edge, I might get that line as well. So by doing this, I've just got extra room to then see, because it would have been so easy with a wet wipe to have gone over the edge, but by doing that now I've got loads of space, which is really good for stenciling. It's a tip, if you've got a stencil that is a bit close to the edge, if you build it up with I mean, I've got duct tape, but masking tape, it just saves you making a mess of your design. So I'm just taking where it's quite dark, taking some extra off. You can see you got lovely, this will make a nice moonscape as well. Now I want to put some on, so using the colours, you can either scribble on the side or in the circle, or like I've done on the side as well. So, and then you just smudge it in, and you're actually putting the colour back on, and it's giving you another layer, another bit of interest. So you can put the circles back in. And don't forget, we can use the other colour as well. Let's put that one back and add a little bit more. And a bit there. A bit there. And then obviously it's quite nice to have them overlapping. So take that one off. That one. A bit there. On this one we'll go bigger, bit there, and that one. So you can really build it up. I mean, literally you can be as long as you want on this. You can take forever making these up. But every time you see that paint is reacting, even if I've got slightly damp finger, it's becoming very easy to move the colours around. So then when you've got to a stage that you're happy with, the best thing to do is to heat gun it, because that kind of fixes it a little bit more and stops the gelatos reacting quite so badly with the water, and then when you go to stamp on them you get a better effect. So I'm just going to heat gun this now. Right, so you can see that it looks like it's sort of less shiny. Hopefully you can see that. I just now need to pick the area that I want for my design. And what I had in mind was these two designs here. So I want some of the blue in the background, and then have that, and then a white sheet of card, and then the children playing in the foreground. So I just need to get my inks and ink pads together. I'll use my large stamp block because because it's a long stamp, it'll give me a chance to get it Right. Okay. And find it so it's obviously the most important thing is the house and the trees are all absolutely vertical, otherwise it will look odd. So making sure that house is straight. Okay, inking it up, and I'm using the black VersaFine ink because I love the strength of colour that you get with the VersaFine. I'll just wipe that bit away because it'll bound to smudge on my design, and then we'll stamp that about there. Gelatos is not the easiest thing to stamp and write onto, so like I said, heat setting it does help. There we go, got a nice image there. Give that a wipe, and we'll get the children. Oh no, I need that again, don't I? Forgot we need to cut the mask. So I've just got some copy paper here, but you could use card if you wanted to. But the bottom half I'm going to make out of this because I don't want it to be too thick on the card. So I'll use as thin a paper as I can. And this doesn't have to be neat, but it does have to be clean. Right, we'll try and make it up here. But it's not the stamping I want, it's the bit underneath. So I don't have to panic that it's not perfect. So I should have done that before. Never mind. So we'll get the children, and then kind of work out where they're going on here. Make sure they're all done nicely. Again, making sure they're straight. Right, so they're done. Now I need my scissors and I need to cut that tree line. So now this fits on to here, like so. Now my white is a little bit too stark against all the other bits, so I will put a little bit of shading, and I'll show you another way that we're going to do that. First of all, let's get it stuck down. So for this I'm going to use a glue stick. Right, so with a glue stick I'm just going to stick this down. Mainly for speed, but also I want it really well stuck down because I'm then going to put some colour on top, so I don't really want to lose any of it. I should really heat set that. Let's do that as well. Trying to multitask. Hope my glue doesn't dry. Always best to heat set VersaFine ink, especially on a surface that has been pre-painted or anything on the surface of it. Right, hopefully we'll get there. Like I said, these designs, I've always in my head got an idea where my design's going, but never, sometimes, you know, things change as you're working. So I think the best thing now to do is to cut it down to size to give me an idea of where I'm going. So I'm making sure that glue is dry, don't want any lumps, and we'll cut it down to size. go, and this will fit on a square card. Like I say, you've taken a lot off, but these could always be used on other projects. So I've been a bit messy, but I'm going to use a rubber to see if I can rub out those smudges. Right, so just with a rubber. It's quite handy to know that if you smudge VersaFine, you can usually, with a rubber, just rub it out. So it's quite handy to know that if you get in that situation. Just give it a quick blast to make sure. I find if you heat a little bit on the back, a little bit on the front, you don't get it warp as much as if you just heat one side. Right, so the next thing I want to do is add a little bit of colour, obviously, to this front because it's very stark. So I'm going to use another technique. I've just got some non-stick sheet here. I'm going to scribble some of the gelato on the sheet, and then with a wet brush just pick up some of the colour, and then just add a little bit to the white so it's not quite so stark. A bit more water. I thought it would be quite nice to have it round the edges. This is just copy paper that I've put down, so it's not the best paper in the world, but it's not going too badly. But it just sort of makes it not look quite so bland. So there we are. We've added some kind of shadow to the kids, because you know in the snow you do get quite a heavy bright shadow. You know, you have low sun in winter, so you get quite strong shadows. So there we go. And then just as a final touch, actually we'll move that out of the way now, we don't need that. As a final touch, I thought I'd add some of the snowflakes into the background like I did with this one, because as I did it I thought, oh actually that's a nice look. So just find my block again. What have I done with it? We'll stick with the big one. And this time I think I'll use a lighter blue. I might have to go to the darker one if it's no good, but that's cornflower blue. Yeah, it's going to be enough. And then just stamp the snowflakes in the background. So, like so. Oops, things getting in the way. Oops. That's why you don't use a bigger block, it just gets in the way. And some there. Fabulous, that's worked out. Happy with that. And there we go. So that's ready just to mount onto a card. I suppose one thing, you could colour in those little windows. So I mean, you could choose a gel pen or something just to make them make sense. But apart from that, we're done. So these are the other examples. Obviously this is the one blue all over, and then this again is stamped on copy paper and stuck down so it's nice and, you know, nice and flat and not taking up too much depth onto the card. It also makes it look more like it's all one design. It's not like a 3D decoupage or anything. And then again, this one is with the balloon, and I've done some clouds as well, so it looks more sunsetty, that one. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that made some sense, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.